These wedding dresses made the guests really uncomfortable. Whether it is for prom, their wedding, or simply a family event, most women daydream about the perfect dress. While this all may seem quite superficial, it's a woman's day to shine. On this day, all eyes are on her. From weddings to every other kind of event, these are the most bizarre dresses ever worn. This young woman here adores cacti. Because the wedding ceremony was her time to shine, she wanted to include her beloved plants into the mix. A strange, somewhat peculiar dress was the result of her quest for wedding style, and we have to say that it's definitely unique. While she looks pretty happy with her choice in attire, we can't help but wonder how practical this would have been on her big day. After all, it seems as though her husband has to keep a wide berth, so how would that have worked when it came to kissing the bride? And what about their first dance? They probably had to keep their space, but we bet they made it work. Tradition breaking seems to be the theme of this list. This young lady decided to follow up on creating controversial gowns. Instead of a classic all-white setup, she opted to add poorly drawn fumes and flames. We bet that the priest wasn't too pleased when he saw her scorching flames of hell, but you can't deny that this wedding gown is definitely lit. We only hope that she took full advantage of having these flames on the back of her dress, because what's the point otherwise? In our eyes, she should have run down the aisle to her new husband or wife just to show how lit she was and just why her dress was covered in flames. She's just too hot to handle. Even gangsters can get romantic, you know. This gangster couple brought their own unique style to their big day, and they made sure to enter into a holy union together with swagger. By spray painting heartfelt words and phrases on their clothes, they've managed to accomplish a unique fusion of street style and tradition, and we have to admit that we definitely don't hate it. After all, it's pretty unique, and it definitely stands out from the crowd. They obviously wanted to keep things as cool and as casual as possible, and we respect that. The wifey on the back of the bride's dress is also a nice touch, just in case the white dress and the veil weren't enough to showcase that fact. It's important to feel comfortable on your big day, which can be a difficult task if you're expecting a baby. Many couples choose to get hitched before they bring a baby into the world, and it seems as though this woman was no different. However, she didn't want a whole load of fabric pressing down on her belly and making her feel all constricted. So, she decided just to cut the whole thing up and roll with it. Either that or she wanted to look like an avocado for her big day. The end result is something that we've definitely never seen before, and we're not quite sure whether this trend is going to catch on. After all, it certainly falls into the niche category. You've got to give this bride points for creativity. I mean, we've never seen a wedding dress made out of soda cups before, so hats off to her for providing us with our first soda cup dress experience. What's more, we've got to give her credit for recycling, although those cups are probably new. The combination of red and white is rather Christmassy. And as for the rosette type things she's got in her hands, she looks as if she won a prize for the best red pony at the Gymkhana. Despite the fact that this dress isn't to everyone's taste, it certainly has a few unique points here and there, and there's bound to be people out there who would wear it. Let's be honest, these two must love their punk rock lifestyle. The bride didn't abandon the customary setup for her alternative wedding, because instead, she just made it better and switched things up a notch. We're sure those demonic horns went well with the priest who had the task of marrying them, and we bet the tattoos fit right into the church vibes. Of course, as long as the priest allowed them to exchange their vows, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thought of their big day. If the kids are happy and in love, we're sure the man above doesn't mind. Actually, when you take out the devil horns, the bride's dress is actually kind of stunning. Well, that's something you don't see every day. Most people are familiar with the epic love story between Shrek and Fiona, and while Fiona wasn't too keen on the fact that she had become a full-time ogre over the years, it seems as though she's happy to stay green if that means that she gets to marry Shrek. This couple decided to showcase their own love through these green eyes monsters, and they seem pretty happy about their wedding shenanigans. It seems as though these two chose to steer clear of a swamp for their big day, and their choice of wedding venue seemed closer to far, far away than the enchanted forest and the dirty swamps. Hopefully, these two lives happily ever after. This happy couple definitely put on their best outfits for this special occasion, and we have to say that the flowers are absolutely stunning. The groom looks sleek and sophisticated in his penguin suit, and the woman looks happy as can be to be standing alongside her husband. However, this couple wasn't about to slow dance to their favorite song. It seems as though this woman was preparing for a belly dancing performance, and she wanted to match her wedding dress to the rhythmic number. Many brides like to know that they are the center of attention on their big day, and we have a feeling that all eyes were on this bride when she made her way to the dance floor. On your wedding day, you have to put on a few different faces. You have to put on a face to show that you're happy to see your great aunt. You have to put on a face when you realize nobody appreciates your donut wall. You have to put on a face when you are trying not to cry when saying your vows, and you have to put on another face to show people that you're not as intoxicated as you really are. We think this wedding dress perfectly encapsulates this. It shows off these many faces and puts them all on display, and it's pretty beautiful, right? The headpiece really finishes the whole look off. Just kidding, it's awful. This couple busted out every move in the book, and we are living for these colors. A rainbow wave over a black base makes up for a daring wedding combination, but these two decided to rock the look as hard as they could. While this may or may not be stylish, they look happy, and that's all that matters. They need to feel comfortable in what they're wearing, and they need to feel as though their wedding outfits and their theme as a whole perfectly encapsulates who they are as individuals, and who they are as a couple. If these guys felt as though they were both dark and brooding and bright and colorful at the same time, then who are we to stop them? We would just love to know the story behind this dress. What made this outwardly sane-looking woman choose to wear a dress made entirely of balloons, and then top the whole thing off with a balloon necklace? I mean, she can't sit down in it, and she's definitely got to steer clear of sharp objects. Or her entire dress could end up popping around her ankles. Maybe her husband-to-be is a clown and proud of his career choices. After all, they're the ones who love playing with balloons and normally have a stash of them on their person every single day. It's just balloony, and it's something we thought we would never see come to life. Yet, here we are. We hear about feminists preaching independence from men all the time, and there's no doubt about the fact that this girl took it to the extreme. Hats off to the seamstress who had the nerves and the skill to connect both a suit and a wedding gown. This expressive fashion undertaking surely didn't go unnoticed, and we really hope that this woman has a long and healthy marriage with herself. After all, it's not uncommon for women to decide that they can't be bothered with another person in their lives. They're too much hassle, aren't they? If Emma Watson can self-partner herself, then this woman can marry herself with an epic wedding dress and suit combo that is a real feat of design. Loved-up couples often make their way to another country for their big day, and although some do choose to have their very own winter wonderland, a large portion go to hot destinations to say I do. This woman was obviously going to a country where mosquitoes roam the skies, which is why we can only imagine she chose this wedding dress. With a skirt like that, she definitely won't have any bite marks on her big day. We can't say the same for the cutouts on her stomach, though. If the mosquitoes were feeling pretty feisty on the day of her wedding, we're gonna go ahead and assume that she was covered in bites from the stomach up, and then bite-free from the stomach down. Is it a coincidence that this girl looks like a real-life Barbie doll? We think not. Whatever her goals may be, it's clear that she embraced her inner child when she put this look together. The Barbie outfit obviously wasn't enough for this woman, though, so she had to add some brightly colored balls into the mix as well. While we have absolutely no idea how this woman could have comfortably sat down in a chair, we do have to congratulate this woman on creating some serious padding. After all, everyone knows that tripping over your dress can lead to a pretty hefty and painful fall. With this dress to catch her and bounce her off the ground, we bet she didn't have a single scratch on her. The dress itself is actually pretty gorgeous, we've got to admit, but what in the world is trailing from her head? It's certainly not the gauzy type of veil we've come to expect from blushing brides. It looks like a cross between an octopus that's about to envelop and crush her, and some sort of plastic installation that a few creatively challenged individuals knocked together in the morning. That's before we mention the orange flowers are a horrible addition, which is incredibly gaudy. However, we do have to appreciate the confidence that one must possess to walk down the aisle in such an ensemble. Kudos to anyone who chooses to wear this wedding gown, because we certainly couldn't. Many gowns on this list are merely for show. This one is very much utilitarian and brilliant, in every sense of the word. This young lady managed to pull off being a wine rack, all while looking absolutely fabulous. If you don't want to chase the waiter for your 10th glass of Chardonnay, grab one off the bride because she has oodles of glasses on offer. Of course, you need to remember to be careful around her, and hugging the bride is definitely off limits. You don't want the drinks to go flying, do you? We didn't think so. We have to give the bride credit for being so selfless on the biggest day of her life. That dress would certainly limit what she can and can't do on the dance floor. There is only one rule when it comes to doing pirate-themed weddings, and that rule is that you have to go all out. You have no other option. Thankfully, that's exactly what these two landlubbers just did. The bride was particularly stunning, with a corset dress and a sideways hat to top off a beautiful shade of gray. Her groom was just as awesome in his pirate suit, complete with three-pinned hat, leather boots, and even a giant sword in tow. There was only one wedding venue acceptable for their venue, and we're pretty happy that they made their way down to the beach so they could really bring the theme to life. Let's hope none of their guests had to walk the plank before the reception. As kids, many young girls dream of their perfect princess wedding, where they get to adorn themselves in a pink princess dress and live happily ever after. For some, this belief stays strong even in adulthood. It seems as though this young woman hadn't grown out of this dream by the time she got engaged, and so she planned the ultimate princess wedding. This big day mostly centered around her breathtaking dress, so called because it looks as though it's literally taking the breath out of her lungs. It's big, it's pink, and it even comes complete with a giant tiara and a wand. As you can tell, the groom wasn't too involved in the plans, and instead felt buried underneath all of the pink. Let's be honest, Ferrero Rocher is one of the most delicious sweet treats that this world has to offer. This couple surely recognized the significance of their favorite candy, which is why they wanted to include it within the wedding. With a candy-filled gown, the bride was one sweet sight to behold, and we can't help but wonder if she started to eat herself as the day wore on. After all, most brides will know that the day is so full-on and busy that they rarely get the chance to take 5 minutes to chow down a meal. Thankfully, this bride and groom communicated their dress code before the big day, as this bride's groom made sure that he complimented her sweet dress. This charming bride wanted to make her special day memorable for everyone. In order to accomplish this, she chose to commission a train that would allow every single one of her guests to get involved. No, she didn't want to walk down the aisle and feel as though her guests' eyes were on the flowers or the decorations in the venue. Instead, she wanted the guests to get up close and personal with her expensive gown, and they did this by carrying her ridiculously long train. Have you ever seen anything so large? It's a good thing she had that many guests to help carry her train, because if they weren't there, the white material would have got absolutely filthy as it dragged across the floor. Let's be honest, frills can make a good wedding dress an amazing one. On the other side of the spectrum, frills can also make a good wedding dress a catastrophe if there's too many of them. It seems like this bride didn't believe the latter statement was true, so she decided to follow the rule that she should either go hard or go home. If the frills weren't enough, she decided to top everything off with an over-the-top tiara. The end result wasn't something so big that she actually struggled to sit in the car without being suffocated by her dress. Although there's a slight smile on her face, that doesn't look like a happy smile. Instead, it looks like a pained smile. There are some wedding dresses out there that truly take us by surprise, and this one is at the top of that list. While it's always important to incorporate your children into your big day, do you reckon this mom took it one step too far? We're all about adding your own little personal touch to your wedding dress, but making it entirely from diapers seems a little excessive. The kids seem to be happy with it, but we're still a little confused. At least the diapers would help with the sweating, but we can't help but wonder whether they were clean diapers, or whether they were used. It's strange, but the diaper on the head really takes this dress to a level we're not quite sure we're on board with. If you have ever tried to do something different for your own wedding, you'll know that mixing styles is not easy to pull off. This biker bride wanted to mix classy with casual, and this was the end result. This couple obviously love bikes all too much, and couldn't imagine straying away from what they love and what makes them a great couple, so this was what they came up with. The bride rocked some tight, white shorts and a lace camisole, while the groom ditched a t-shirt and simply wore a leather waistcoat instead. The classy touches were the bow tie and the garter around the bride's leg, which really take the wedding into a whole new realm. Whether that's good or bad, we don't know. If you want to keep your wedding day traditional, you might follow the rules that you need something borrowed, something new, and something blue. Well, this person definitely filled the blue category. Not everyone can pull off blue ruffles on their wedding day, but the bride wasn't content with following the crowd. She didn't want to wear a normal white dress, and she wasn't keen on sticking with a normal shape. The result? This rather strange creation that even comes complete with blue extensions. At least she's consistent, and at least her guests won't have to look too hard to try and find her. She sticks out of the crowd with this ensemble, that's for sure. Where do we start? We have so many questions, we just don't know where to begin. This wedding dress is definitely an attack on the senses, but we can't say that we'll be rushing to place our order anytime soon. Of course, it has got the main components of a regular wedding dress. There's a bodice and sleeves, there's a skirt and underskirt, and there's even a veil and shoes thrown into the mix. It's just a shame that this dress looks like it's been ravaged by wolves or been living under the sea for the past few years. Despite the fact that it's pretty strange, we have a feeling that there are going to be a few brides out there who would want to wear something so niche. In the name of all that is holy, what is that thing and why is it on this woman's head? It looks like yards and yards of dead furry animals all joined together and made into an O shape, then stuck to the front of her head. Why? That's what we really want to know. Once again, the rest of her outfit is quite nice, but the head dress. Several animals had to die to make her look that bad. That would be a definitive no from us. What makes this headdress even more strange is the fact that it looks pretty heavy, and it seems as though this bride can't even really lift her head to look at her husband. Perhaps that was the point. There isn't a part of our lives that McDonald's hasn't infiltrated yet. We're simply loving that fact, despite all the criticism and the haters who try to take our hash browns and McNuggets away from us. These three ladies are enjoying a special event in beautiful wrapper-made dresses, and while we don't know whether they are getting married or whether they're just getting dressed up for a fancy occasion, these dresses are pretty special. Art can take many forms, and this is just one of them. We especially like the skirt and the necklace made from straws, but we do hope that they are paper straws rather than plastic straws. We've got to save the planet, after all. Okay, patriotism is all good and well, but wearing the American flag on your wedding dress is, in our not-so-humble opinion, going a bit too far. She looks a bit like a sandwich board advertising the US, which is a little strange. The veil's traditional, but we certainly can't say the same about her unfortunate dress choice. If you really want to wear the flag, stick to a baseball game or something. She actually makes it look pretty, though, and she definitely looks as though she's happy on her wedding day. Unfortunately, the bridesmaid in black on the left-hand side doesn't look too happy, and that might have something to do with the fact that she's wearing a black bridesmaid dress. Looks like this lady and the wine glass dress girl were in cahoots when it came to planning their weddings, and they obviously used the same welder to create the stands for their cupcakes and their drinks. There is no other logical explanation for turning your gown into a walking display of donuts and cupcakes, after all. Who knows, maybe she wanted to save money by not hiring waiters for the reception. If that was the case, then we have to give her some credit. Planning a wedding can get pretty expensive, and if you can save money here and there, your bank account will certainly thank you for it. However, we can't imagine that this was too comfortable for the bride to wear on her big day. This young couple decided to go down the spooky route for their big day, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. After pulling off stunning and realistic masks, they wanted to round the day up with show-stopping outfits that would blow their guests away. Their choice was a single-use suit and dress. Her gown was made out of paper plates and forms, while his suit was made entirely out of garbage bags. Strange, but stylish. We have a feeling that these outfits wouldn't have been very comfortable to wear, and we really hope that it didn't rain on their wedding day. After all, the paper would have disintegrated, and the garbage bags would have just stuck to the groom's skin. Chocolate Week 2008 was a special event. The designers of Ian Stewart Brides decided to create something that represents this event perfectly. An impossible stunt became nothing less than reality. The first edible chocolate gown was born. It didn't look anything less than majestic, but it did also come with a few questions and queries. What happened if the woman's body temperature melted the chocolate? What happened if the woman got a little peckish while she was posing and started to eat herself? There are too many unanswered questions with this wedding dress, but perhaps the most important of them all is whether this gown also comes in dark and milk chocolate flavors. That would be pretty cool. More often than not, wedding gowns are created as works of art. This girl took this notion to a whole new level. With meticulously drawn beetles on her big gown, she turns into something even more majestic when she's in the dark. You glow, girl. We bet this dress looked awesome when the bride and her other half made their way to the dance floor to take their first rhythmic steps as an official married couple. After all, not many guests are used to seeing the lights go down while the bride stepped up with her glow-in-the-dark beetles. We would have loved to have seen that in person because that's something you don't forget in a hurry. Pretty awesome, right? This bride really is boasting something incredible. With an aluminum and rhinestone embedded gown, this lady is simply and literally glowing all over the place. Rodeo Drive surely had their jaws all over the floor over this strange but captivating creation, and it seems as though this lady was fully prepared for her big day. Not only did she have her gown in tow, but her makeup was also on point, and she even had some dollar bills in her purse. Whether that's because she wanted to buy herself a drink at her wedding reception or whether she was in the process of running out on her groom, we don't know. Let's just hope that she went through with it in the end. In today's world, there are so many options for wedding gowns. One of these options is the risky road, doing something outrageous and unheard of. It can either backfire or amaze people, and there's no way of knowing what will really happen until you make that decision and buy the wedding dress you desire. With a depressing shade of blue and silver rhinestones, it's not sure what this girl wanted to pull off. Hot or not? Well, we guess that decision is down to you. While it's certainly different from the traditional white wedding dress, there's no doubt about the fact that we have seen worse wedding dresses on this list. However, it's still pretty awful, and it makes us feel pretty blue. Everyone knows who this is, right? This smiling bride is none other than Mama June from Honey Boo Boo fame, and she wore something many wouldn't even dare approach for her big day. With embedded beads and spots, this camouflage gown may just be the most daring fashion statement ever. It's the ideal starter kit for every outdoor wedding ceremony, and it seems as though Mama June succeeded in choosing something that nobody else would wear. After all, mixing camouflage patterns and a bright orange color together is a risky move. Nevertheless, her groom abided by her demands and matched his own outfit to hers. That is one bright couple, especially with those flowers in tow. Michelle brought new light to the wedding gown world. This young lady definitely had her way with making a design to be both functional and beautiful. Using an urban graffiti style, she added the first letters of her and her husband's name to the design. It's safe to say the plan worked out perfectly, and that smile on her face shows that she was over the moon with the end result. In fact, she couldn't help but make her way out into the open air and away from her wedding venue to showcase this graffiti with other graffiti on the street. It's not on most people's agenda to spray paint their stunning wedding gown, but that's the beauty of your wedding day. It's completely yours. Brides aren't afraid to step out of their comfort zone and add some pizzazz to their gowns. Many brides actually ask their designers and their seamstresses to create something that is truly personal to them and their passions, and it seems as though this bride followed that lead. As a huge fan of the Twilight series, she knew that she wanted to spend her big day with two of her favorite people. This lady couldn't decide between Team Edward or Team Jacob, so she made it easy for herself and decided to go with both. She is lucky to have a husband that doesn't mind her love of Twilight or the fact that she was with two other men on their wedding day. This young couple really outdid themselves in terms of style and substance when it came to their big day. They knew they wanted something big and bold, and that's exactly what they created. Evka, who is only 19, managed to pull off one of the most extravagant style moves ever when it came to her wedding plans. With such an outrageous dress, this teen bride made headlines all over the world. Talk about investing in your wedding. We can't even imagine how much it cost to make this dress with its meters upon meters of material, jewels, and crystals, but we have a feeling that it was more than we could ever comprehend. Let's just hope that it was worth it. There is one downside about every great wedding gown, according to some. That problem is the lack of color, as many people simply don't like the all-white tradition. They believe that it's plain, they believe that it's boring, and they believe that it doesn't showcase any of their personality. Because of this young lady decided to keep the tradition intact, but add a pinch of creativity to the mix at the same time. The sparkly frills and rhinestones rounded up the design amazingly, and the whole dress stole the show when she made her way down the aisle. While there was no doubt about the fact that she was the bride, there was also no doubt about the fact that she was a bold personality. Let's be honest, this girl is bride goals personified. With an amazing tattoo sleeve and antlers, she did the perfect job of balancing out the traditional white dress. Pink hair may be a daring undertaking for some, but she carries it gracefully. There's no doubt about the fact that this alternative woman is the kind of person who would post pictures of her dress and her big day on Tumblr for all of her followers to see. But we do have a few issues with this whole ensemble. For example, what would happen if her wedding venue had low ceilings? Would she have to take the antlers off? And what about the pink stains on her wedding dress? Are they meant to be there? Or are they lipstick stains? Someone must have taken a thing or two from the book of 1990s extravagant fashion. A mix of fur and sparkly materials is just what this bride was looking for on her special day, and you probably don't need us to tell you that she absolutely nailed it. The bridesmaids seem on fleek too, so there's nothing to worry about. Of course, the bridesmaids couldn't wear the same as the bride, though, because no bride wants to be upstaged by their sister, best friend, or cousin. This bride made sure that she looked even better than the ladies by her side, and she did this by adding more lights, more material, and even a Santa hat into the mix. That must have been pretty warm under all of that. When camouflage goes all wrong, rebelling against a tradition is in our nature. Therefore, every once in a while, we strive to create new trends from old ones. This process may yield amazing results, but it can also yield real-life disasters. Although this dress could have been both daring and dazzling, the dazzling part is lost due to a bad realization. That's because this couple obviously didn't pick their photograph location very well, as it certainly doesn't fit in with their camouflage vibes. The whole thing is off, and unless the bride has another dress that's completely green, then we don't think she's really pulling off this look as well as she could do. Also, what's with the groom wearing jeans and a white shirt? This bride must have been thinking about the fact that weddings are pretty crowded, and with so many people to traverse and avoid, it was going to take a lot of effort to get to the cake that she actually paid for. So, wait, what if I was the cake? By baking herself into this cake, she guaranteed herself first dibs of the rainbow cake that she asked for, and this also means that she can eat as much as she wants. As if that wasn't enough, she could also make sure that the guests she didn't really want to invite could also go without. Her flaming red hair goes hand in hand with the incredible design of her gown, and the whole thing looks pretty delicious. In fact, we're pretty hungry right now. The spirit of anime is alive and kicking in this bride's dress. This girl pulled off the stunning wedding combination masterfully. With an amazing set of tattoos and a wild imagination, you have one of the boldest wedding fashion statements ever, and we just can't get enough of it. It's traditional but wild, it's white but colorful, and it's long but also short. It seems to be the perfect mix of cool and luxurious, and there's no doubt about the fact that her own style makes the ensemble look even more impressive. After all, not many people can pull off green hair and combat boots on their big day, but it looks as though this whole outfit was made for this alternative bride. Pretty awesome, right? Gown hair, don't care. It's not usual to see women wearing something other than a typical white gown for their wedding day, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen at all. In this case, we can see a majestic exception to the rule. With a stunning art display, this bride-to-be is wearing a strange gown that seems to be made out of actual human hair. Not only that, but this has been adapted onto the dress in various different colors and styles, and the same hair is even tying up the dress like a corset on the bodice section. We're not sure why anyone would want to be covered in that much hair, as most people find it annoying when a single strand makes its way onto their outfit. A superhero of a bride needs a superhero groom, right? We're sure this stunning, comic book-loving young lady found her Prince Charming or found her Batman for her big day, and we bet he loved seeing her like that. In fact, we're sure he couldn't resist that sexy look in the distance. She just might have saved the day yet again with this impressive outfit. And it seems as though she's also prepared for any eventuality. While she doesn't have a cape to her name, this super bride does have a utility belt that's probably full of world-saving devices she could use if the situation arose. Either that or she's filled it with snacks. We probably would do that. Body art is always beautiful. This bride-to-be was so proud of her own that she decided to show it off as much as she could. A minimalist dress like this leaves much room for the body art to be visible, but she also made sure that the whole thing was white to showcase her role as the bride. Only the bride is allowed to wear white on her wedding day, after all. Both classic and unique, hats off to this young lady right here, because very few people would be able to pull off this look. In fact, very few people would be allowed to pull off this look, because we have a feeling that family members probably would get involved if they knew that their daughter, sister, or future daughter-in-law was wearing this. It's not easy to merge these things, but this young lady pulled off quite an accomplishment for her big day. Just think of all the people around town that saw a ghastly figure gently walking around in a wedding dress. There were probably a few people who were a little concerned, and they were probably even more unnerved. Whitby, England, April 26. Leslie Skay from Harrogate wears a wedding dress and painted face during the Goth weekend on April 26, 2014 in Whitby, England. The Whitby Goth weekend began in 1994 and happens twice each year. Thousands of extravagantly dressed people who follow steampunk, cybergoth, romanticism, or Victoriana visit the town to take part in the celebration of goth culture. Especially when they saw the goths wandering around behind the bride in their black dresses and the giant spiders in their hair. Nevertheless, you have to admire this bride for going the whole hog. She could have just worn a black dress herself, but she instead opted to wear a stunning gown paired with a rather scary-looking face of makeup. Although most women wear wedding dresses on their big day, there are other women who seem to be breaking the norm and opting for something a little different. They don't want to follow the crowd and wear a dress, because there are some women out there who just aren't dress people. One woman decided to go against the grain completely and wear a sparkly silver suit for when she said "I do." Not only that, but she added tulle decorations and bright pink stilettos into the mix to show off what she was made of. We don't really want to know what the bicycle helmet was for, but we're gonna go ahead and assume that it was somehow incorporated into the big day. If you choose to get married on the beach, you need to make sure that you're prepared for the weather. After all, it's going to be pretty hot. When this woman was planning her wedding dress, she not only wanted to be cool in the warm weather, but she also wanted to reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, she decided to gather up as many plastic spoons as possible and forged a giant skirt from them. Although it's not our cup of tea, at least she can help out the guests when they eat their desserts. In fact, she could even use those spoons to create her very own cup of tea. She can't use too many, though, otherwise the dress will be ruined. With more and more people choosing to stray from the norm when it comes to their wedding dresses, this fantastic creation probably shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. Of course, we do have to question the practicality of such a wedding dress. If she is getting married in a cold country, the fur will definitely be beneficial, but only up until a point. With her legs out and no jacket in sight, we have a feeling that this blushing bride might catch a cold if she stays outside too long. We do have to appreciate all of the little details in this ensemble, though, especially when it comes to the matching purse, hat, and wrist warmers. This woman doesn't look too happy to be getting married, and this might have something to do with the fact that she has a ram's skull that's sitting on her head. It looks as though this is the kind of look she's going for, but we can't deny that it's a little strange. Aside from the animal carcass, her dress is absolutely stunning. With a high neck and beads throughout, she looks like one of the most beautiful, if slightly terrifying, brides we've ever seen. Let's just hope that she cheered up a little bit when she stood in front of her other half. Or perhaps she looked even angrier because that's just who she is. We just don't know. On this list, we've already seen brides and grooms coordinating their outfits. We've also seen bridesmaids having matching outfits. But what about the bride going for the sheep look? Such an occurrence is unheard of, but this young lady surely didn't have trouble pulling it off. We get that animals are our best friends, but sometimes love can go overboard. We don't quite know why this woman decided that she wanted to match with her sheep on her big day, but we really hope that sheep isn't her husband-to-be. We're all about letting people love who they want, but is that perhaps a little too far-fetched? Last time that we checked, that was a bad idea. Many people like to add their favorite color into their wedding, and it seems as though this lady was no different. In an effort to become her very own pink lady, she opted for this wild ensemble that really does hit you from all angles. First, you're drawn to the giant fishtail train that looks more like a UFO than a train, and then you make your way to the extravagant hat. Of course, you then have to finish with a little peek at the bow and all that glitter. What really strikes us about this whole photo, however, is the fact that this blushing bride looks pretty miserable. We don't know what she has to be sad about unless this dress just isn't pink enough for her. Every wedding dress should tell a story, but it seems as though this wedding dress just doesn't know whether it's coming or going. It's all party in the top half of the dress, but the bottom half is just begging to be tripped over. Although we're sure there are some people out there who would wear this, we're just a little concerned that it may be a hazard. Yes, not only is it a fire hazard, but it's also a health and safety hazard. We'd fall flat on our faces if we wore this, especially as there's only a small hole for your face to fit in. Even when you poke your hole through, you still have a veil to contend with. This dress should definitely be sold with a warning attached to it. Your wedding day is the biggest day of your life, which means that you get to be the center of attention. One of the best ways to do this is to embrace all of the colors of the rainbow, and that's exactly what this woman has done. From the bedazzled bodice to the multicolored ruffles on the bottom, there's no doubt about the fact that people would spot the bride from a mile off. She knows it too because she's totally feeling herself. Of course, this isn't the traditional kind of wedding dress that most people expect women to wear, but who says that you have to follow tradition? This is 2020, people, and this means that you can do what you want when you want. From afar, this probably just looks like a strange wedding dress made from feathers or strips of material. However, the more you look, the more you realize that it's even weirder than you could ever imagine. This wedding dress is actually made from thousands of rubber gloves because nothing else screams married life like a load of rubber gloves. Let's hope this bride refuses to do the dishes ever again after wearing this. Just imagine how hot it must have been. We'll pass on this one, thanks, because we don't need any more reminders that we need to clean our bathroom. It's supposed to be a special day, people, not a day of chores and doing the dishes. No, thanks. While we don't quite know what happened in this scenario, we are a little surprised to see this woman covered in blue paint. Last we heard, blue paint isn't exactly a winning accessory on your big day. Of course, she doesn't look too upset about it, so it can't be all bad. Perhaps she decided to embrace that something blue of traditional weddings and really roll with it. Either that, or she really wanted to transform herself into a mermaid as a wedding gift and decided that this was the only way to become a real-life Ariel. At least she's by the ocean if she needs a little wash before the ceremony because her groom will also get pretty messy if she kisses like that. This girl didn't want to move from tradition but still wanted a flash of something new. That flash came in the form of a beautiful, multi-layered frill system, and we have to say that we actually kinda love it. The colors are stacked in a strange but functional way. And above all else, she looks and seems happy that her design finally came to life. With the whole look mashed together, she looks like one saucy señorita who would definitely turn heads as she made her way into the wedding venue and down the aisle. She topped the whole look off with a classy veil and some bright red shoes, just in case she didn't stand out enough as it was. Autumn nature weddings are great. If the weather serves you, you can enjoy a spectacular ceremony around all the different shades of red, orange, and green. This bride wanted to mix traditional with daring, and the result is this amazing masterpiece of a dress that screams this season. It seems as though both the bride and the groom are pretty happy with how the dress and the suit turned out, as well, because they seem to be pretty confident in their outfits. Of course, we would be too if we looked like a giant Satsuma and had a huge tiara on our heads that made our neck hurt. It's certainly a unique look. Karen is a big fan of Manchester City. She wanted to include her beloved club into her second wedding ceremony, and she knew just how she wanted to do it. Using all the game shirts she owned, she meticulously sewed them together to make this masterpiece. The result is simply stunning, but it's definitely not a dress for everyone. After all, someone who supports Manchester United wouldn't even dream of wearing such a thing and don't even start on soccer fans. Because of this, we don't think that there's a market out there for this particular dress, but the concept could definitely catch on for all of the sports lovers out there. Would you wear this? Hello Kitty isn't just a cartoon, because it's also a way of life for some people. This lovely lady embodies what Hello Kitty fandom is all about, and she knew that she wanted to incorporate her passion into her big day. With just a pinch of the kitten on her white dress, she managed to come off as stunning and stylish, and both traditional and alternative at the same time. She pulled this off by wearing a traditional gown that features lace and beautiful material, while also adding some seriously cool colors into the mix. Top that off with her awesome hair and victory rolls, and you've got a bride who will definitely be proud of her look in years to come. Patriotism is a great feeling that pulls people closer together. It can be a tool that promotes stronger bonds and traditions, and it can become a huge part of people's identity. In fact, it seems as though this young lady deemed it important enough to be a part of her wedding gown. Although unorthodox, this design just may work flawlessly, as the design is both simple and elegant. If it didn't have the flag on it, it would be a dress that people would spend thousands of dollars on. Of course, the flag certainly limits the number of people who would want to wear it on their wedding day, but those that would wear it would definitely do so with pride. Balloons are essential for every birthday party or celebration. Even weddings can be equipped with them, in moderate quantities. Sometimes, adding balloons to your wedding gown may seem a little bit too much to the average person, but there are other people out there who really want to stand out from the crowd. By the looks of her husband, he must have been afraid to burst her bubble, no pun intended, but this bride still opted to keep things as lighthearted as possible. Even her husband rocked an unusual getup for this event, as he decided to wear swimming shorts instead of some smart trousers to match his suit jacket. That's one way to dress for your wedding. This gold and the white feathery ensemble is right out of a fairy tale. The bride appears to be forcing a smile as she's dwarfed by an oversized circular confection of fluffiness and ornate gold rising high above her head from her shoulders. Intricate feather schemes, sequins in every direction, and strange fabric patterns, there are just some details of this wedding gown masterpiece. 5. The fairytale look is complete with what seems to be a wand in the bride's hand, and there's no doubt about the fact that the whole thing is over the top. However, if you can't dress in an over-the-top fashion on your wedding day, then when can you? It's the perfect opportunity, so you might as well take it. The angle of the picture makes them look as if they're falling off the edge of the world, but that's not the strangest thing about it. Actually, it seems as though the bridegroom has just realized that he's marrying someone dressed entirely in rags. Look at all those bits and pieces. We're all in favor of a bit of bohemian chic now and then, but this is taking things way too far. Has she spent her whole life collecting these rags so that she can have her wedding dress made of them? We don't know, but what we do know is that she should stay away from any wind machines or turbo engines because those loose ends would be caught up in no time. Okay, what's going on with this balloon wedding dress thing? This is the third one, and we're starting to wonder if a really peculiar trend is building, and we're not entirely sure how we feel about it. Why would anyone want a wedding dress made out of balloons, especially a very racy red, with a great big slit up the front? Now that's throwing modesty completely out of the window. We'd like to see her sit down after wearing those skyscraper heels, but we don't think the dress would allow it. We guess the only saving grace with this dress is that she could pop a few balloons to take her long wedding dress into something more comfortable and shorter for the evening. Let's be honest, this wedding dress isn't that bad. We've definitely seen worse. Yet, it's the giant accessory that really pulls it together into one weird and wonderful creation. We do feel a little sorry for this model, especially if that is her real hair, because detangling that bird's nest must have been a nightmare. If it's not her hair, then we have to wonder why they would choose such a wig. Is it to distract from the ruffles? Is it to distract from the weird crease in the middle of the dress? There are so many things that it could be distracting us from, but it's also a pretty big eyesore itself. This dress is not a winner, really. This bride clearly didn't learn anything from the Duchess of Sussex's ultra-minimal wedding dress. It is reputed to have had 6 cleverly hidden seams that made her appear to float down the aisle, a picture of style and grace. No, this bride clearly likes things as busy as possible, what with all the frills and flounces, those bridal cowboy boots, and the fussy flower arrangement. What we love best, though, is the quaint little parasol and stage set for the picture. Very retro. At least this bride didn't have to wear extremely high heels for her big day, as these can be pretty uncomfortable. These boots were certainly made for walking, and probably a bit of dancing, too. This dress is actually pretty cool. We love fairy lights, but maybe having them switched on so close to your delicate bits is playing with fire, so to speak. I mean, they look all festive and that, but what if there's an electrical short? They happen, you know. The dress, and the poor bride, might melt into a puddle on what's meant to be the happiest day of her life. An A for the idea, but an F for failure to observe safety precautions. Of course, disregarding the fact that this material may go up in flames in no time, the general vibe of this dress is pretty beautiful. You could add string lights to anything, and it would look awesome. This strapless wedding gown looks fine until you get down past the bride's waist and can't quite believe what you're seeing. How on earth is she managing to move her knees with that tight band around the fabric? Put your hand over the bottom third of the photo, and she looks like a bride. But take it away, and you can't help wondering if there's a dwarf concealed in the bottom poof doing the walking for her. It's normal for people to cinch in their waists to make them look smaller, but why would you want to cinch in your knees? Well, it seemed to make sense to this bride on the day. We don't get it, though. If it wasn't for the face paint and the bouquet, this would look like 2 rather ordinary people dressed up for an event. However, this couple decided to embrace their quirkiness and celebrate their love in a unique way. The bride chose to wear orange and white tiger face paint while the groom chose to be a panda. One wonders what this choice suggests about their relationship. She was probably the one that decided this was a good idea, and for that, we don't quite know what to think. Of course, this could have been an innocent decision, and they may have just decided to get hitched spontaneously after a kid's birthday party. That's the only logical solution, really. This Halloween bride and groom don't quite pull off their apocalyptic vision, especially with a backdrop of the beautiful blue sea behind them. He manages to do evil quite well with his fuzzy little orange beard, evil, skeletal smile, dark eyes, and debonair suit. She looks like a strange skeleton rather than a frightening apparition.